Earlier this week, Dana said he wanted to bring back the old style of weigh-ins, where you get on the stage sucked out in front of the big crowd. He blames the early morning weigh-ins for everyone missing weight and wanted to get rid of them. Do you like the early morning weigh-ins, or would you prefer to go back to the old way?
I think like the old way, I was more used to it, you know. Like I think for the fighters, it's better because we don't need to go like to wake up at 6 in the morning to cut the weight at 6. It's just too much, you know.
To be honest, it doesn't make a big difference to me because I'm not cutting a lot of weight. Some of these guys are cutting 20, 30 pounds. They think that it's going to give them an edge on fight night, but, you know, I fight at my natural weight, man, because I'm a winner. That's what winners do. They fight at their natural weight. They're not scared. Most of these guys are scared to fight up a weight class or fight at their natural weight. I'm not scared, man. I'm letting my nuts hang out.
Well, the old style brought a different kind of energy to it. It was more of a discipline, you know, but I'm quite fond of eating after in the morning and went in the morning and then be able to eat all day. It feels better.
You know, for me there is no difference because I'm not cutting weight too much, and I can rehydrate me as same good like it will be like early weigh-ins or after like afternoon weigh-ins. But I think it's a good idea because in this case people will not cut too much weight because they will already think that it's not enough time to recover themselves, and that's why they will already think, and that's why I think it's good have this experience to fight with every time biggest opponent. I was like, okay, I have to manage now this kind of distance, this kind of weight, and with real weight 24 hours, you just like, okay, it will be the same. You cut too much, you will feel more weak.
I mean, this is the second time I've done this, so, you know, I've done it both times with the early morning weigh-in, so I would lean that way, you know. I can only imagine, you know, that whole extra day where you're just like sitting around waiting to weigh in, and then you got to go on stage and like, you know, have this personality, or, you know, try to be entertaining at the same time, and you're just drawn out and you look, you know, you look 100 years old. I think that's a bad idea.
Yeah, so I was just talking about this, and I do prefer the early morning weigh-ins. You know, I'm not one who cuts a lot of weight, but as I said earlier, the morning weigh-ins gives the fighter more time to recover. You know, I studied kinesiology and nutrition in college, and if we move the weigh-ins back to 4 p.m., first of all, that's a step backwards. You know, I think we were moving in the right direction, but 4 p.m., let's say tomorrow, the first fight, I'm fighting the first fight at 5:20 p.m. That's 25 hours. That's not an adequate enough time for the brain to fully rehydrate and recover. And we're getting punched in the head, kicked in the head. That's going to cause long-term damage, and that's my main concern. You know, not necessarily for myself because I do not cut a lot of weight, but some guys are cutting 15, 20 pounds the week of the fight, which is pretty crazy, and you know, they need that extra 6 hours or whatever, just to actually 8 hours to, you know, recover. I don't even think that's enough time, but definitely keep the morning weigh-ins. That's my take on it.
And when Darren Till missed weight a few weeks ago, he came in like 3 or 4 pounds over. He fights at 170. He said he normally blows up to around 200 pounds when he enters the octagon. Wonderboy made him weigh in the day of the fight, couldn't be above 183, 188, which is around when Wonderboy walks in. Are you in favor of that? Because it seems like it makes sense, but we don't really get that a lot when an opponent misses weight.
To be honest, I think that's a fighter's preference. You know, if I'm going to blow up to, let's say, I'm fighting at 145, if I'm going to blow up to 160 plus on fight day, I'm not going to feel good. I know me personally, I'm going to feel sluggish. My legs are going to feel heavy. So I don't like to put on a lot of weight. I'll probably step in the ring at 155 to 157 max. So that's 10 to 12 pounds. And I don't like to get heavier than that just because I will not feel good. I'll feel sluggish and lethargic. So I like to say, you know, within 10% 10% of my weight class.
For sure, I'm in favor of whatever the opponent wants once the guy misses weight. Once he misses weight, it's really out of his control. He didn't do his job, so it's whatever I or the opponent and the UFC agreed to. But I think that was a great move on Thompson. I would probably I would have asked for more money from Darren Till, that's for sure.
I don't know. I really like in Japan what they do is if you miss weight, it's deemed a no contest on your record. Your entire, I think almost your entire purse goes to your opponent. And if the fight goes ahead, and you aren't allowed to weigh a certain amount. See, for me, we want to have healthy athletes in the cage, and if he's cutting that much weight, like I feel like it's detrimental to his health, making him not rehydrate properly. And but if we're making it a no, so if say in this case of Wonderboy and Darren Till, so even if they fought, Darren Till's still going to be hydrated. Wonderboy's going to get, say, like 85% of his purse, which is huge. It's a lot of your purse. And Wonderboy has a chance to get a win on his record. If he doesn't win, it's deemed a no contest on both their records. And if Wonderboy wins, he has a win on his record. So I feel like I like that. But I think there's so many different options that there's so many different methods that we can do. But I honestly think that there should be harsher penalties. And I think if you are over 5 pounds heavier, then the fight's called off. And I really like, I watched a interview with Lamas, and he said that they should be suspended for a year from fighting in that weight class. I 100% agree with that, because you're obviously not in that weight class if you can't make weight.
No, I'm not in favor of that. You got to make weight, man. We're professional athletes, man. You get paid to make weight. So if you don't make weight, you shouldn't be fighting, or you should be losing your show money, and then if you win, you should be losing half of that too. So there should be more drastic measures taken to people that don't make weight. You're a professional, man. There's no excuses for not making weight.
I'm not saying Rafael is going to miss weight, but if a future opponent ever does, what's the threshold you would accept to fight? I mean, because when Mackenzie Dern missed weight, she was a whole weight class above. Say your opponent comes in 1 pound but looks really sucked out like he tried, or comes in like 7 pounds over. What's the threshold for you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't know. I'm a fighter. I love to fight, so I came to fight. It doesn't matter what they weigh. I'll fight a freaking heavyweight, I came here to fight and put on an entertaining show for the fans, so I don't think I really have a threshold, The UFC makes it right. I'll fight anybody at any weight. I'm a money fighter.
Oh my gosh, that's a hard question. I've actually never in my career had an opponent miss weight against me. I don't know. Honestly, that's a hard question, because people say, oh, it's only 1 pound, but for someone like me who only cuts 4 pounds, 5 pounds, if that, going against someone who's cutting 20 pounds to get to 2 pounds over, so it's kind of hard to say. I think it just depends on the person and who, knowing if they're cutting a lot of weight or not.
I think maybe a whole weight class, maybe 155 would probably be a max. But you never know. It's if the price is right. Sure. And I talk to my coaches. If we come to agreement, it really doesn't matter.
Oh my gosh. I think that first of all, it's super unprofessional to not make weight. And if you miss weight, especially at a lightweight class by 7 pounds, I would definitely not have taken that fight. I say I have a 1 to 2 pound tolerance. I mean, if people can't even come close to making weight, then I shouldn't be in a position to where I have to feel bad, feel like I need to take the fight, or I'm gonna make the UFC mad, or I'm gonna make the fans mad. How if you miss weight by that much, it's I show up, I do my job, I'm being professional. If you're that unprofessional, then you shouldn't even be allowed to fight. You should be penalized from the UFC too.
We work so hard, and as a fighter, it's hard to say no. It doesn't matter if the guy comes in, at 185. It's I want to fight. I trained to beat this guy. I trained to beat freaking King Kong. It doesn't matter. That'll probably end up coming down to a management decision. But as a fighter, I don't care if you miss weight. You're gonna pay me some of your purse. You know, it's just more for me. But whatever.
I think anything under 3 pounds is like, okay, like you can physically see that they're exhausted, that they're gone, they're sucked in. It just happens. Sometimes it just happens. Your body just stops sweating. So that you have to give a little room for error, because people fuck up sometimes, like people make mistakes, and it's going to happen. But I think anything like 3, 5 or over is, I don't think it should be left into the hands of the opponent who made weight, because they're going to say yes every single time, because the position that they're in is, are they going to get cut from the UFC if they say no? Like, they're not going to get paid if they don't say no. Like, it does not help the fighter who made weight in any way, except for maybe getting a little bit of extra money.